14 years ago this week on April 17, 2000, one of the most famous angles in Raw history took place. One of my favorites. Chris Jericho's Phantom title win over Triple H in State College, Pennsylvania. Raw absolutely slaughtered Nitro that night. 6.7 to 2.5 in the ratings. That's how far away WWE had gotten with that race. Or that war. Can you even call it a war at that point when it's that one-sided? The angle was very simple. Jericho had been making comments about Triple H and Stephanie. There was something there. The show opened, and they were going to have a match, and Jericho used his mouth, as only he could, to coax Triple H into putting his title on the line. This was 6 days before Backlash. Triple H was going to defend the title against The Rock, and he got him to make it a championship match, and Jericho had invested in an insurance policy for the match, which turned out to be Bradshaw and Farouk, the APA, to make sure there were no shenanigans. And so they had a match to open the show. It was actually a really good match, and it built to a ref bump. And so with the referee down, it might have been Mike Chioda, out comes Earl Hebner. Now, Earl Hebner had been part of the McMahon-Helmsley storyline. I think he may have been suspended or something happened, and it was kind of surprising for Triple H to see that Earl Hebner had come out to officiate his match. And I think Triple H shoved him. Earl shoved him back. No, what happened is Earl shoved him, and then Triple H shoved Earl down to the mat. And when Triple H turned around, he turned into a spinning heel kick from Jericho. Jericho did a lion salt, went for the pin. Earl crawled over, fast counted, new champion. Place went nuts. It was so awesome. It was great. And Jericho quickly grabbed the title. He ran up the ramp. Triple H went to go after him, but the APA held him back. He was beside himself. He couldn't believe it. Lillian announced Jericho as the champion. It was great. It was awesome. And they went to commercial. Came back from commercial. Triple H was in the back with Shane. He grabbed Earl, dragged him back to the ring, forced him to admit that he had fast counted him. They even showed a replay of it. Mike Chioda looked up. He said, you fast counted him, Earl. You fast counted Triple H. You screwed him. And Earl said, I did screw you. He basically admitted it. And Triple H said, what you're going to do is you're going to reverse that decision and go backstage and get my belt. And Earl said, I'll do it on one condition. You got to promise that you and your wife, all of you, promise never to put your hands on me again as long as I'm a WWE official. And that was the key. And Triple H said, let me get this straight. As long as you're a WWE official, we can't put our hands on you. He says, you know what? You got a deal. And Jericho wasn't going to wait for Hebner to come back. He came out on stage and made a joke about Stephanie being a whore and sleeping with all the boys. And he gave up the belt, and Earl put it around Triple H's waist. And, of course, a great heel, which Triple H was back then, we were just talking about heels a few minutes ago, said, by the way, Earl, you're fired. So, therefore, Earl was no longer a WWE official. That was the cue to kick him in the gut. He gave him a pedigree. Jim Ross was absolutely disgusted by this on commentary. I think he said it was like the worst thing he had ever seen in his life or something like that. And I remember as a fan watching that and just being so deflated, come on. It was like it never happened. But looking back, it was a fabulous angle. It was great. And Triple H lost the belt to The Rock anyway 6 days later. But definitely one of the best angles in Raw history.